that's a really cool project. And it was driven by a client who came at things from sailing mono hulls for years and years. And he really wanted to try to attempt something a little different, to try something a little new. And as we talked more and more, we got interested in things like things that might be considered a little fringy, like the tandem twin masts, the rigs that are shown in that design as freestanding wing sails, essentially, almost like windsurfer sails. They're large format windsurfer sails, and that solution is interesting and from many angles. One, engineering wise, there are no wires and cables and turnbuckles and things that hook the rigs onto the hulls, where you induce all kinds of crazy off-axis loads when you do that. When you set a mast in the middle of the boat on the bridge deck and you run cables out to the hulls, and you're tweaking all these things up in a dynamic situation under heeling angles and various loads at sea, that presents substantial engineering challenges. Whereas if you move them out into big bearing systems, buckets essentially installed in the hulls, and make them cantilever spars, that's a different engineering problem, a different and different stresses and forces. But you kind of have a more direct way of managing those loads, just by the nature and the way you're installing the rigs. And certainly you've got redundancy. Now you've got two. And so for a cruising sailor, this made a lot of sense to him. And he had interest in sailing around the world, and something that is easily driven, and cat hulls are light and easily driven. They're quick and nimble. And so he basically wanted to cover ground at 16 or 18 knots, everywhere he went. And the VPP, the velocity prediction and performance analysis suggested that's exactly what that boat would accomplish. And so, for him, it made a lot of sense. It's slightly more stable sailing in some ways, where the cats don't heel quite as much, nearly so as monohulls. And his wife liked that, and he liked the idea of having all of this interior space on deck that was like a sort of a veranda or a large, open air kind of porch Caribbean living situation, kind of indoor outdoor feel. And that's where he was taking that program. It made a lot of sense.